Hello and welcome back for this final release of 2025, where we will be taking a look at the expanded graph options that are now generally available and the SAS Viya Copilot. Let's dive right into it. We are starting things off in SAS Visual Analytics, where we will be taking a look at the expanded graph options, which we previously covered, but they were still in preview mode, and they have now been switched to generally available. So let's take a look at them on the example of the bar chart object. So we're just going to pull in a new bar chart into our graph, and we are just going to have a simple visualization here. And now on the options pane on the right hand side, let's talk about some of the new things. But if you want all of these options explained and nicely overviewed, the link in the description to the SAS documentation is your friend. So one of my favorites right away is the ability to just change the y-axis to the right hand side instead of on the left hand side. You also can really change how the baseline behaves, have different patterns here, different coloring, spacings that you have available right from this place here. And also when we're talking about reference lines, you can now go in, change the style of that reference line, change its color to pink, for example, can make it thicker. And all of these things are easily available to you now within this UI here, and this extends across many of the different graphing elements that we have within Visual Analytics to help you design and optimize your graphs without having to go to the custom graph builder interface, where you could do a lot of these things before already. Okay, with that, let us leave Visual Analytics behind and switch to SAS Environment Manager, where we will be starting to take a look at the different copilots that have been made available with 2025.12. First up is this new page here for the SAS Viya Copilot, and as a SAS administrator, you need to turn on this feature in order for other users in your environment to get access to the SAS Viya Copilot. There's also some steps that are required in order to set this up, to get the secret that this page talks about here, and you will have to accept the terms that are mentioned here as well. Again, there is a link in the description talking you through and giving you all the considerations around the Copilot use. Once this has been set up, the Copilot is available in 3 different places. First is SAS Model Studio, and there it is available for data mining machine learning projects, for forecasting projects, and for text analytics projects. It is available in SAS Model Manager, and it's available as a VS Code extension so that you can use it right where you write SAS code. Now, in order to make use of the VS Code extension, you will need to make sure that your users are part of the custom group GenAI VS Code users. So add the users you want to give this right to this specific group. Of course, if you're part of the SAS administrators group, this doesn't apply to you. You can still make use of this feature. You do not need to switch or add someone to a specific group when it comes to the other copilots that are part of SAS Viya directly. These are either turned on for everybody that has access for the application, or they are turned off for everybody that has the application. So let us start things off within Model Studio, where we are going to build a model together with our Copilot here. Now, we're going to decline this. The Copilot is available through this icon up in the top right-hand corner and opens up on the right hand as well. If you open it for the first time, you will get this prompt here, making clear that the Copilot is currently only available in English. You can select Don't Show this message again in order to proceed from here in the future. Now, in here, we can ask general questions about our Model Studio, but we don't have the context of a specific project yet. So you could, for example, ask a question, hey, what can you help me with? What can I do in Model Studio? But nothing with a specific project context. One thing I want to highlight in the UI as well is how you can dismiss it again. So you get back a bit of screen real estate. Also, you can click this button up here to start a new conversation. So reset the conversation context. And you can, of course, also resize it as you want and as you need and have the space on your machine. So let's dive into one of my projects where I have already set up the target variable, but in my pipelines, I have nothing here. And what you saw while I clicked, you saw that the buttons with suggested content has already changed here. So it keeps a context of where I am within my project. So we could ask a question like, what is the data node that we're currently doing here? And it takes that, and utilizing the SAS documentation helps to explain what we can find on here, what it does, and then we can also deep link into the SAS documentation to help us understand more. Let's go ahead here and ask a question like, can you help me to build a pipeline? And you can also see down here, we can also take this text with us. Okay, let's run the node by copying these results, for example, for your own documentation. And you can also get a read aloud method. So here you saw it switch on. It triggered the pipeline. I didn't touch the keyboard for this, and now the data node is being run for me. Check the pipeline for status, so we're going to give it a second here until we see the result. Now that the node has been run, we can go back to our previous question. Let's just reprompt the Copilot here and see what it comes back with. Okay, we can see a first suggestion, determining suggestion for the data node. Comes back with here some suggestion, forest transformation replacement. So we could add a random forest to our pipeline. Or we could also start an exploration that is similar to the auto machine learning that is available within SAS Studio. So we're just going to say, okay, let's add a forest node to this. We get our random forest in here, and let's run this node. Okay, our node has finished running, so we can ask it explain the results for me, so that we don't even have to go in and look at the results, but rather the Copilot will reach into that node, pull out the results that are generated as part of training this random forest model, and then take that and turn it into a natural language explanation of how we can read and understand this result, also featuring tables, for example, as it shows here, to display the fit statistics for me. We can find top features by importance within this report. And then it also comes back with some suggestion of potential next steps, like consider reviewing partial dependence or ice plots. That would mean we would have to turn on interpretability features and monitor model performance over time. So that be more of a feature within Model Manager. But that's a good cue for us to move on from Model Studio and move into SAS Model Manager, where we will see the same icon at the top right-hand corner. And here we also can make use of this feature, and let's just ask the Copilot what it can do for us. What can you help me with? Okay, it can help me find answers for the SAS documentation related to Model Manager, and I can ask it any question around that topic. So let's just ask a question like, how can I register a Python model. And it comes back with an explanation. We can import it via a zip file into it, via add model and then select import, add a new custom model. There is also a custom or a step available in SAS Studio called register Python model. And then you can also use Python code via the REST API for it, and there is examples available. Okay, that's a great overview of what is possible here. Now, let's move on to VS Code, where we will finish this off. And we are going to start first by talking about what you need to do. We previously talked about that in SAS Environment Manager, you need to be part of that specific custom group. In addition, you will need to install two SAS extensions. The first is, of course, the SAS extension in general that you need to have installed and a profile set up and connected to an environment that has the Copilot enabled. Now, please make sure that you are on the SAS extension 1.18 or higher for this, just so you are on the latest release for it. And then you also need to install the SAS Viya Copilot extension. And here, make sure that you're on version 1.0 or higher on that. And then we are ready to go. Now, in your icon pane on the left-hand side, you will have your SAS extension and the Copilot one. Let's just pull them up so they are right next to each other. First, sign into your SAS environment. Make sure that you can work in here. And then we can start working with the Copilot when you have a SAS file open and you want to work with that. But before we look into it, let us first check what new settings we got from this by going to Settings, Extensions, SAS Viya Copilot, and you can see there's two extensions. The first one that is enabled by default is to include context, so it can take part of the code that you previously had within your code file. And then you can also toggle to always accept the outputs that the Copilot generates for you when it comes to code. That is off by default, but you can change it as you gain experience with this new capability. So in here we have some proc SQL code up top. I'm just gonna submit that real quick. Of course, that is fairly simple SAS code, but let's imagine you are a new user and you don't even know SQL code at this point. So we can hit explain here. It takes that chunk of highlighted code and then generates an explanation for us within this interface here that is part of this Copilot interface. And you can also clear the conversation to remove it from the context again. And there's also a way to send feedback back to SAS on this. The second function we have is to add comments to this. So this will help us generate comments that are put in line with what's going on here. Fairly verbose in this point, and also since this isn't very needed, we'll just remove it. And then finally, we are going to select commentary that we put into our code within the multi-line comment. And if you have a true multi-line comment, you have to just select the whole comment. Then we will hit generate code. We can see here what I sent to it. It's processing the result. We get 3 different examples back. And here you can also see I can page through them to see what the different results are. So we can see here, make model country, work cost country equals 0, country origin, and here is origin that is perfect for my examples. And now we can submit this code. And we get back our results for only European cars. With that, we walked through 3 different use cases for the Copilot. One time helping us build new projects and kind of helping us understand what's going on within our pipelines within Model Studio. Next, we moved into Model Manager, where we use the Copilot to help us understand how we can achieve and perform certain tasks. And finally, within VS Code, we use the Copilot to help us understand pre-existing SAS code or to even help us write new SAS code from scratch. That's pretty awesome, and I'm sure there's more to come in the next couple of months. With that, let us quickly talk about new and awesome articles that I found while scanning through the SAS library. First up is SAS plus DuckDB series. What is DuckDB? We, of course, previously talked about DuckDB quite a number of times, actually. And this article helps you understand what DuckDB actually is. So it's a very broad perspective on what this capability actually represents. Next up, from zero to clarity, effortlessly import files in SAS Studio for low-code users. You always have that case where you need to upload this one random CSV file or Excel spreadsheet that you keep getting sent by some other department. And this blog post walks you through the different capabilities on how you can achieve that task as easy as possible. And finally, how you can implement row-level security in SAS Speedy Store to help you only surface the data that the user is supposed to be seeing at that point in time, and how that also interacts within SAS Viya and SAS Visual Analytics, especially since you often don't want to create the same report multiple times, but rather once and then apply row-level security on top. I hope you enjoyed these updates and are excited to use the SAS Viya Copilot across the different offerings that are already out there and make use of them to be more productive with SAS Viya. See you next year. Bye bye.